Well, hello and welcome back to Middle-Aged Moto. I am out for a glorious ride. It is 62 degrees and funny, I left my house. I've got my winter jacket on without the liner in it, and I was kind of chilly and regretting it. I get to the gas station to fill up, which I do every time I ride because this hog sucks through some gas, and I had my front vents wide open and didn't even realize it. So I'm now toasty and out cruising. You know, I haven't been on this bike as much because of time, cold, weather, sick. You know, said it pretty much in the last video, out of sorts, mind-wise, the whole 9 yards. But it's weird, when I ride for a long time, this probably happens to most everybody, the bike feels slower and slower because you get used to it. And I just did some rips from my house to this point, and this thing is just sick. It's scary fast. I've never had a bike this long that when I rode it after not riding it for a bit, that it just, you know, the adrenaline flow is just amazing. This thing really, this is just an amazing bike. This thing really gets it. I mean, I'm cranking it up to like 11 grand and shifting there because I don't even need to go any further than that, and I'm going ballistic speeds. This bike is just absolutely insane. It was a great purchase. Well, it's time to start thinking about the next bike, and it's been even harder than before. I'm trying to dwindle down. I really don't know how much time I'm going to spend off-road. I'm kind of limited on the trails. I was going to get a CRF 300L, just kind of as a light. Well, light is, you know, questionable because it's not a light bike in its class, but it's a lighter bike than what I have here. Just to kind of cruise around, you know what I mean, and find some dirt roads and some trails here and there. I just don't know how much I'm going to do that. So now I'm starting to hunt around, and I'm starting to think of maybe getting something that I can go down dirt roads, but nothing real, well, with my expertise level, something I can go down dirt roads, but, you know, maybe not necessarily trail riding, but people could trail ride them kind of thing, like a, you know, an African Twin. I really like the Tenere 700, but I mean, it is so hard to buy those bikes or find those bikes, and I just don't know if I'm willing to put that effort in of just, you know, traveling real far and just hunting and trying and all that kind of stuff. I just, you know, it's disappointing. Well, it's great that the bike is such a great seller, and then we've had, you know, the pandemic that slowed everything down, but it's tough. And then Husqvarna just brought out the Nord, I think it's called. Real nice bike, 900. It's sharp, but yet I'm scared, you know what I mean, reliability wise. You know, of course I'm driving a Ducati, talking about reliability, but I mean, these bikes have come a long way. I've been on the forums, you know, if you're not in the modification section, which people do go crazy, you mod these things, you know, you've got some different issues that are popping up that people are having. You know, the oil leak, you know, some different stuff. Nothing major, but, you know, some different stuff. So I'm basically starting from square one. It's probably going to be late spring, early summer before I decide. And I'm also in the mix, and this may put a delay on that. I'm thinking about selling my home and moving and trying to either live on one of the local lakes or find a place with some more property. I've got a decent sized lot now, narrow and long, but I haven't really mentioned it on this channel. I fly drones, not your normal DJI camera style drone. I'm not doing it for photography with the 4K zoom lenses and all that. I fly first person drones. It's kind of a rush. So you put goggles on. They are DJI goggles, but you're flying the drone. The drone doesn't have all that automatic hover stuff and all that kind of stuff. And it's a mode called acro mode, where you're pretty much in control. If you turn to the right and bank it, it's just going to stay there when you let go of the sticks until it crashes. You know, but you can go upside down, you can flip, you can, you know, shoot different tight spaces and all that kind of stuff. So I fly them. I live on a corner, and there's a service road, paved service road that goes down the sides, down past where my driveway is. I'm the only one like right there, and the neighborhood, you know, I live in a neighborhood, and then they got another guy across the street that's on the corner, and then there's a pump house for our septic system and a big dirt lot down there at the ends. But behind that used to be a lake, and evidently the people that owned it found out some ore or rock that was valuable was there, so they've been mining for, you know, or digging that rock up for God knows how long. So it's just a mess back there, but there's no trees. It's wide open, and there's still water out there, you know, in spots because the lake didn't totally go away. So I fly my drones on my property. I go out of my way to make sure, unless I'm 300-400 feet high, I don't fly around my neighborhood. I don't want to bother the neighbors. So I fly, I come out, and I go around my street sign, and that's where I turn back. And I fly out in that field. I can go with the system that I'm on, you know, I could fly, you know, several miles if I wanted to, but I don't. I choose to stay close. Plus the drone laws, you have to stay, you know, in line of sight. And when I use my goggles, I'm required to have a spotter that keeps its sight on it. So I follow the laws. Well, the other night I had my parents over for dinner, and we're sitting there, and someone pounds on my door, and it doesn't sound like the UPS guy, it was louder. So I go to my door, and it's the police, the local police, and they're like, hey, he introduces himself. I don't remember what his name is. He's real cool, young kid. Well, young kid to me, I'm 53. I mean, everyone's young. But the kid comes, you know, asks me, he says, hey, do you fly drones? And I said, yeah, sure do. You know, I got no reason not to. He said, well, I got a call that you were trying to look in people's windows. And I'm like, what are you talking about? First of all, the style drone I fly, you can't look in it, you can't see in a window. It's not like it just hovers and then you can just see right in a window. It just doesn't happen. So, you know, and just to really, really test it, I pulled up to my windows by my kitchen and my office. One has a screen on it and one doesn't, and the blinds were open, and I flew right up, and I cannot see in. It's just not that, you know, all you see is a reflection. You can't see in, no matter, and I flew at different times of the day. So you can't see in, not that I would ever, so I don't go in other people's yards. Now the only thing I can think of, and I record all my footage. So I had the last 2 weeks worth of footage, and I forgot when the police officer was there to ask him for a date and time stamp, because he wouldn't tell me who it was, of course. I'm like, well, how am I going to avoid them if you don't tell me where it is? He goes, I just don't want any conflict. I said, I'm not a conflict type person unless they continue on. They just don't like me flying drones. People get all wigged out and paranoid like you're invading their space. Well, they don't realize that, you know, anything in public that I can see, you know, I can record. You know what I mean? That's just how life is. I'm not over their backyards, and I'm not flying in their yard. But there was one day a while back, I was waiting on a package, and the UPS guy went by. So I flew around the side of the front of my house over the road and did a loop back in toward my house to check if there was a package dumped on my porch. And that's the only thing I could think. Well, evidently their camera picked it up. It might have been a Ring doorbell or something. And, you know, these drones are small. I mean, they're less than 250 grams that I fly around the neighborhood. I've got some faster, bigger drones, but they're noisy. I mean, and they're super fast, 120 mile, 130 mile an hour drones. So I take them into fields and fly. But I fly a lot by my house. It's a stress reliever for me. You know, if you ever had that, if you ever went on a roller coaster, or you were ever on a swing as a kid, and you look back as you're going forward, and that dip in your stomach, or you go over a hill on a road and you get that dip, you can do that with the drones. It's just a blast. And even my smaller drones will fly, I don't know, 60, 70 miles an hour. But, you know, I'm usually flying around 35, 40 to maintain a little bit longer flight time. I mean, they're only up between 5 and 7 minutes depending on the batteries. So that one time, that's the only thing I could think of. And the cop caught me off guard, and I'm like, you know, because I was like, did I sway into their yard a little bit? You know, I was starting to doubt myself, and I didn't want to automatically say, well, that wasn't me. I'm like, well, listen, I don't fly over houses, I don't fly in people's yards, I don't even go, I try to stay, you know, away from even flying over their house. I don't fly over people. You can't. It's part of the drone rules. I'm certified. You know, I've done all my, you know, there's some testing that they require now, some safety testing. Not that anyone checks it, but the cop was really cool. But it was just, this happened Thursday, and it's still irritating the hell out of me. It's renting some major space in my head. And, you know, I almost got to the point where I was going to take my footage down to the police station and, you know, show him, you know, ask for a timestamp. But I don't know. I didn't ask the officer's name or for a case number, and I don't know their policy. So I'm going to call down there Monday and see if they did a report. And I want a copy on the report, how the report was written up. And, you know, I'll see what's happening. You know, I've had zero problems my entire life with the police. You know, I had some tickets back in the day. I got a clean driving record. You know, yes, I messed around on my bike sometimes, but it just really chapped my ass. You know, it was just really pissed me off. I'm still flying. I'm making a real conscious effort to not fly around the front of my house, but now they're starting to restrict where I can fly. I mean, I can fly anywhere in my yard. Technically, I can fly anywhere I want in the neighborhood. You know, up the streets and stuff like that if I wanted, as long as I was high enough and it wasn't, you know, irritating. I'm not here to try to irritate people, but at, you know, 100 feet or 200 feet, you can't hear the drone. It's quiet. You know, it's got little electric motors on it. Now, if you rip, yeah, you can hear it. It screams. But the smaller ones don't make much noise at all. That's why I fly the smaller ones around my neighborhood, because I don't want to really bother anyone. But it really upsets you when you go above and beyond to try to avoid confrontation, and then you end up having the cops at your door. And if it was that one time that I went around the front of my house, because it's not something I do, I don't think I've ever done it before. I'm always, you know, down the side of my house and out back where there's no one. I mean, no one at all. So with that said, you know, I appreciate you listening to my my little bit of a rant. It's just kind of getting old, and we'll talk to you soon.